Did you hear Ireland is the fastest growing country in Europe?
I did not hear that.
No.
Its population is always Dublin.
Hey, why do people wear shamrocks on St. Patrick's Day?
Why?
Because real rocks are too heavy. Hey-oh! Eric, come on. That was gold.
That required a little bit of thinking on my end.
It's a shamrock.
It's What You Watchin'. Welcome to Whatcha, Watchin', presented by Geeky, a show where we dive into what's currently on our screens. Big screens or little screens, size matter not here, just the quality or lack of our cues. I'm Chris Nitro. Joining me today in the Go-Go is Anthony Pizzuto.
Hello, I'm Anthony Pizzuto.
And Eric Ho.
Hello. Soy Eric Ho.
And Chris, you're clearly on vacation still.
That was not a very quality introduction.
Jet lag sucks. But yeah, guys, how you doing since I've been gone?
Wow! Wow! We got a musical. We got some musical from Nitro. Wow! The first and probably only time that will ever happen.
No, I do that all the time.
Do you really? Do you like break out into song?
Dude, when I'm at work, that I get everybody going like that. Like I just throw it in the one line. I earworm everybody. Like that's my job. Like I just earworm people.
I feel like I'm just now getting to know you.
We hang out like professionally. Very loose term here, folks.
There's nothing professional about.
I've been saying karaoke needs to happen.
I agree.
No, I don't. I draw a line there. I do not sing.
So office karaoke is good, but you can't go out and get like drunk and sing with people. Okay, all right, interesting.
Nope.
There's a Korean place in Chatham. No,
really,
somewhere down here, Westfield. It's a Korean like fried chicken place. And it's got a barbecue. It's got a karaoke thing going on there.
Ooh, I love it.
Okay.
I'm just saying, everything about that sounds pretty good.
Yep, I could be convinced to go do that on a Tuesday night if I'm sitting here in New Jersey. Chris, we missed you last week.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. I think it was one of the first times Eric and I have ever done a show together. You and I have done solo shows without Eric, but I don't think Eric and I have done a show together. But I think we did okay. Clearly you turned it off after the dad joke, so you didn't give it a full, college try listen. But no, I think we did all right. How was Ireland?
Ireland was fantastic. I had a really good time. Traversed the width of the country, so we went from the west coast to the east coast. Then also went up almost to the north coast in Northern Ireland. Went all the way up to Belfast from Dublin. So we saw a good chunk of the country. It's beautiful. Like, I mean, I've been there once before, but we only stayed in Dublin and we didn't really do much because it was for a wedding. But this time it was obviously it's very scenic and picturesque. I knew I was getting into that. But seeing it for yourself for the first time, that was like, wow, this is really, really, really nice.
And did you make it to some, we had our travel episode a few episodes back. Did you make it to any filming locations of our beloved Star Wars universe or any universe for that matter? Did you at least get to see anything like that?
From a distance, I did see Star Wars filming locations, possibly others. No, definitely others. I just don't recall the other films. So I was out in Western Ireland, southwestern. I would guess it's southwestern. County Clare. No, I'm terrible. So that is the area where the Skelligs are. Skellig Michael famously at the end of now I'm blanking the name of the film.
Force Awakens.
Episode Force Awakens. So at the end of Force Awakens, beginning of The Last Jedi, I saw them from a distance, though, in a very far distance from the coast. So we get to see some of that, and then a little bit closer, we got to see where they built the set when they came back for The Last Jedi. I didn't know this. They filmed some of it on the Skelligs, but then they recreated the village in a more accessible location because where it was is like a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and they didn't want to like mess with things too much, so they created on like almost a cliffside, elsewhere on a different island that's more accessible and closer to the actual mainland of Ireland. But yeah, so again, we didn't step foot on the locations, but we were in the vicinity of where cast and crew congregated and whatnot.
Nice.
And did you get to meet any of our fellow Legionnaires? I
did meet one wonderful person named Keith from the Ireland garrison. He, unfortunately, not too bad, but it is a little bit unfortunate. He's one of those like lone troopers where nobody else lives around him. So like it takes him several hours to get over to Dublin, where the majority of people live. I think he said the next closest person who is even further away from Dublin is like an hour and a half away, south of him. But he's a fantastic person, great trooper. Really has his heart in it, and for the right reasons. Doing stuff for charity, doing stuff for kids, putting smiles on people's faces. Has a fantastic time, looks great in costume, wonderful person. Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet anybody else, just timing didn't work and whatnot. Again, the Ireland garrison and then going up to the Causeway garrison in the 501st, just poor timing, short notice, poor timing too. So most of that was on me. But yeah, we got to meet him, and he was a great person to meet.
And what does he troop as?
He has. I vividly remember Chewbacca.
Oh,
he has
nice.
a Chewbacca. I'm trying to remember what he has armor wise. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say Stormtrooper, but I doubt it. I don't remember exactly what he was in the 501st, but he did have a few costumes in the 501st. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, like I said, wonderful person. Like that's part of the allure we talked about in our travel episode of just going to meet people and whatnot. And he was a great guy to meet.
Well, Keith, if you're listening to this episode, send us what you troop as at mailbag@geekyagogo.com, and we will feature your trooper gear on our next episode. Nice. It was a good week over here too. I was traveling. I was down in Eric's old world of Texas. And Texas in the summertime is a place that I would absolutely never recommend anyone ever going to. It is.
Wait, hold on. You were down in Whitney, Houston, right?
I was in Whitney, Houston. Yes. I started in Corpus Christi, and which is a lovely seaside town. I'd never been there before, and kind of going back to the geeky things. I don't know if I actually specifically mentioned this in our travel episode, but what I do is I search for like geeky things to do in X. And so I did geeky things to do in Corpus Christi. And while they do have some comic book stores and museums and things like that, they have a Harry Potter themed coffee shop. And so I had to go to that because I am a pothead and I love me some Harry Potter. And it's funny, I pulled in to this place, and it was like this little derelict strip mall in the middle of nowhere. Like the last place you would think something cool and hipstery and unique like this would be. But you walk in, and it's everything you'd expect from a Harry Potter coffee shop. There's like antique mirrors all over the walls and gigantic spiders hanging from the ceilings, and all the menu drinks are based off of names of characters from the book, and all the baked goods are like golden snitches and witch hats and stuff. It was pretty cool. And then headed on over to Houston, which they have a Hobbit cafe. Fun fact, in Houston. I did not go to that though, because I'm not much of a Hobbit fan. So I ended up going to an 80s diner. And because I am a baby of the 80s and I love me the 80s, this was on a Wednesday evening and I was the only person in the diner. It was like 7:30 on a Wednesday. And it was just me and the kitchen crew and one waitress. So I had this like 20-foot screen that just played 80s music videos all to myself, and I was able to control it from my phone. So I was just like loading it all up with everything I wanted to listen to. And I had the Paul Rubin, and I had an ectoplasm, which was like this green cocktail. So yeah, it was kind of fun. I wish there had been more people there to make it worth my energy, but it was still fun. And now I'm back here in sweltering New Jersey. Yes, sir.
Before we get to Eric, I took a page out of your book, and I looked for like a unique kind of place to go visit while we were in Dublin, just to have something to do with the kids and whatnot. And we talked about this, a few days ago, but Eric wasn't privy to that. So I was looking for some, again, similar to what you said, it's just find something fun, unique to do, geeky and whatnot. And we found a place in Dublin called Board, Board. And it ended up being, when we got to it, it was a pub downstairs, and then you walked upstairs, and it was just this like communal area that had all types of board games, on the wall to borrow and just, play with family and friends while you were there. And when we were there, someone happened to be doing a game launch. So they were selling the game and whatnot, and we'll talk about it a little bit at another episode. I think I'll keep that in the pocket. But it was a really cool place. It was also a pizzeria, and it was like fantastic New York style pizza in Ireland. And I was like, this is. And then the ladies that were running the pizzeria were like Italian and whatnot, but they were making like New York style pizza, not Italian style pizza. So great place. Went with the family, all had pizzas and whipped out a few board games to play and stuff like that. And, people around us all were doing the same. And it was like a really cool place. But like I said, downstairs was a traditional pub where everything was like wood paneling and, like the deep colors and dark and like gold. From what I remember, like the gold bar handle and, stuff like that, and taps and things like that. But then you went upstairs and it was like this open area that was very well lit, big tables and stuff like that. So thanks for that recommendation. I was like, let me try it while we're here. And it actually worked out really well.
That's a good one. Awesome, man. Awesome. Eric,
what about you?
What did I do this week? I grilled a lot this week. Because last week was disgusting and this week was fantastic.
Smoking meats.
Well, I also got a griddle, so that was my acquisition last week, which is I couldn't make it out to you guys. It got delivered, which is very exciting. So I got a nice little flat top now to accompany my smoker / regular grill. And I've been going at it. So that's what I've been doing this week. Other than that, binging on TV shows, which you can talk about in a bit. Yeah. But that's what I've been doing this week.
So wait, so this flat top, so it just sits on top of the normal grill and takes the...
It's just a griddle.
It's just a griddle?
It's a straight up griddle. Yeah.
You're going to have to send me a link if you haven't done so already, because I'm curious about how this...
It's basically I haven't seen Eric's, but what I've seen, the ones I have seen, it's basically a table with like a backsplash or side splash, just like raised lip with burner knobs on it.
Oh, interesting.
That's pretty much it. A hibachi situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been practicing my little hibachi skills in the backyard. Nice. Flipping of the shrimp into my hand. Which we should really do a Benihana thing. Yeah. It is one of my favorite places. Actually, there's a place on 22.
Mm-hmm. We've been there many times.
What's it called? I've been there like
Ararang.
Yeah, that place is pretty fun. We should go.
Let's go there for lunch instead of Reisenstein or Scotchwood.
There will be no recording.
That's fine.
It's very loud. It's always someone's birthday. It's
I will say that I have been to many of these places, and it's always been somebody's birthday.
Oh
We
yeah.
go like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's his birthday. The one place I really wanted to go for my birthday, and they do check your ID for this, is medieval times.
Oh sure.
Because for
Yep.
medieval times, like the guy with the birthday gets a discount, and I'm like, I really want to go back again. I haven't been to medieval times in forever.
I went there for I think it was my 30th birthday, something like that, and it was amazing. And yeah, they like call you out, and it was a lot of fun. And then so my pal kind of organized it for me, and we rented a school bus, and we took that from Staten Island to Medieval Times, and then after Medieval Times, we went to this place called, I think it was called Culture Club. Speaking of 80s, which was like this awesome 80s like nightclub. I forget where the heck it was. It doesn't exist anymore apparently, but that was such a good time. But yes, birthdays at Medieval Times. 4 disco balls. 4 disco balls. All right, shall we continue our Acolyte recap series?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Anthony.
All right. So episode 5 came out this past Tuesday, June 25th, titled Night. It was the up-to-the-minute continuation of episode 4, thoughtfully titled Day. Now we see why they split them up. Now, if you don't like spoilers, well, my first question is, why the heck do you listen to this show? It's just riddled with spoilers. Followed by, okay, thank you for listening to the show, but if you don't want Acolyte spoilers, skip ahead about 10 or 15 minutes and we'll get into the normal What You Watch and cadence. So much like Back to the Future 2, this episode takes place literally seconds after the end of episode 4 and is in essence a 20-minute lightsaber battle between the stranger, or the master, whatever his name is, and pretty much the entire Jedi landing party on Kofar. Wild and sad news. While most of the Jedis and what are the Star Trek, was it the red shirts or the yellow shirts? I think it's red shirts.
The red shirts.
Yeah, it's the red shirts. So we now have our own version of the red shirts, and they're Jedis. Most of the background actor Jedis died. They took the light bullet pretty quickly and unceremoniously, but a really like kind of surprising kill for the stranger was, and again, spoiler alerts, fan favorites Geeky and Yord. Like, was not expecting that at all. Those are 2 characters that really had a good foundational setup that you would expect to continue on. But before all that went down, we get the big reveal of who the stranger really is. As Eric Ho called it last week, it was none other than Keimer. So good job, Eric Ho. Totally called it. So, double what? But why stop there with the, oh my God, is this really happening? This episode ends with a heart-to-heart between Osha and May that leads to May pretty much knocking out Osha and committing some pretty outrageous identity theft, taking over the role of her unconscious sister and joining back up with the remainder of the landing party, which is pretty much Basil, who totally creeps me out, and Sol. This episode clocked in at about 28 minutes. So, Eric, as the official oracle of the Acolyte, I want to start with you on your deep thoughts about this episode, especially since you put some bullet points in our Discord. So I want you to kind of take us away on this conversation.
I agree with most of the news that came out the day after, which is Sith hit the fan this episode. What an appropriately written topic. No, it's we knew last week that this is going to be a continuation of the last episode. So what's exciting, much more satisfying, I think, for most people. Definitely was surprised. I knew that there were going to be a whole bunch of people who died. I get the sense that people were going to die. I was just really surprised by how quick they removed that. But now, come to think of it, you're on the second half of the show now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess if they were to do that, more the better. It's interesting that it felt like such a high for me because we still got 3 episodes left.
That's right, 3.
And this feels like the climax so far, and I wonder how they're gonna top this to kind of close out the series, which I hope they don't go out with a whimper. I I think there are some things that are just super cool in here. I think that, well, the way that the stranger took out his lightsaber was kind of sick. He had a combination lightsaber, which we haven't seen that kind before, where it's kind of stacked on top of one another. You can take it out, kind of situation. Fights differently, and then what was interesting, and I didn't know this because as much as I love Star Wars, I'm not as I think in touch with a lot of the lore kind of situation, but the material of his helmet that he had on apparently is a material that's been around for a while that can diffuse energy, including lightsaber, which explain a lot of what we saw with the sparkling lightsabers and all that kind of stuff, which I thought was really cool to kind of introduce that into like live action. And then the last thing I will say is just gosh, like Chimera is like powerful. It's got like really sick looking arms.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of things that I was like, Chimera hiding, you didn't pick up on it. And Chimera, like the bad guy, I was like, hot damn. I was like, look at this guy just breaking that really swole arm around. And I am curious where they're going to go from here, right? Because obviously there's going to be a thread with Basil, I think, because he can smell things. And so I think that something's going to happen there. And what I didn't understand, I would love to get your guys' feedback on that, was I didn't understand that last the note that the show ended on. The episode ended with, Chimera looking at Osha, and then said a few things to her, somewhat poetic, whatever thing that he was saying to her. And I have no idea what that means. I think that he clearly knows that's Osha. I think he knows that's Osha. I don't think he's tricked by the whole Osha May switch. But I don't know what that means. And he put a cloak on her. Like, is he gonna take her away or is he gonna leave her there? I am curious where this goes from the next episode. And by the way, we still don't have the resolution of. I think Soul was trying really hard to talk about maybe what actually happened 16 years ago, whatever. But never got that chance. And I'm curious when in the next few episodes we're gonna do another flashback again, because we're definitely gonna have another flashback to see the other point of view. But I don't know when that's gonna happen. So all in all, I really enjoyed this episode. I think I want to go back and watch the last 2 episodes together to really kind of get that continuity and kind of flow. But solid, man. I think it was really cool for these kind of things to be introduced. And by the way, the guy that you thought was Plo Koon got murdered in the first 30 seconds of the episode. So.
Yeah, so now it is actually confirmed it is not Plo Koon.
That's right. So anyway, that was my little feedback on that episode.
No, that's great. Chris, what did you think? Did you get a chance to see it while you were in Ireland, or did you drop everything?
Yes.
Nice.
Well, kind of, not really. I'm with Eric with a lot of this stuff. I mean, the thing that I did not like is it's seemingly an extremely fast-paced episode, right? It's the typical length of episodes, right? But it's seemingly extremely fast-paced, and so it's a huge change of pace from the beginning of the series, right? 1 and 2 and 3 kind of seem to drag a little bit, and then we get to 4 and it picks up, and then this one is like over, done, like super quick, and so it follows the story arc of a film, right? Over the course of, what is it, 2.5 hours now, ish. And so it's just when you're trying to pace a television show, I think they messed up on this one, right? Because it's super fast. It's just pure action almost the entire thing, and then it slows down at the end a little bit, just to add a little bit of cliffhanger mystery, so to speak, almost a little bit forced. It's not so much as cliffhanger than we're all just asking ourselves, are they really falling for this? We kind of get the sense that Basil is not. He hasn't fallen for it. He knows something is up. Chimera knows something is up too, and I think Saul also realizes it as well, right? Because I think earlier in the series, he senses something. When Osha's
Do you
near or
think he
May's
knows?
near.
Do you think he knew?
I think he suspects, right? I don't think he knows, but I think he feels like there's something there, right? There's something is off slightly. So, I mean, that's the sense that I got.
Yeah.
Yes,
I didn't get that sense. I didn't get that sense that he got it, and I think he's in a very messed up state of mind right now. He almost killed the dude, and I think you can tell he was just kind of chaotic coming onto the ship. And I wonder if he actually doesn't know. Though I will say, one has a thing on the forehead, and one doesn't. So I don't know how she was gonna hide that. So anyway, back to you, Chris. Sorry.
I mean, I totally welcome that. Like, it's just coming off of this episode, I was like, "This okay? Why did we go so fast just to slow down again to the point of almost confusion? Like, do we really suspect that all these people are falling for it, and Basil's the one that's going to crack the code because his scent, his skill of smelling, possibly. I mean, it is a TV show. Star Wars is for kids, right? You use that quote. Well, I mean, yeah, Eric says this all the time. We overanalyze things, right? So it might be something that simple. We're like, you know what? We're going to play the dumb. We're not going into the scientific facts about Star Wars. This is like just a plot point. Let's move on to the next thing, and we'll see what happens.
Well, to be a Star Wars fan does mean you have to overanalyze everything, as we see every day in every Facebook group. But it's an interesting. So I'm with Eric. I didn't get the sense that Saul had an idea what was going on with the Osha May switch up, and I also we didn't. Clearly, there's a relationship between Saul and Keimer, or a version of Keimer that may have been forgotten by Saul and the Jedis or something, but there was something there, because he makes comments during their battle about what kind of master hides his face from his Padawan, and Keimer's like, yeah, what kind, you. So clearly something happened. Either Keimer's kind of projecting what happened with May Osha, or there's some form of Keimer that maybe as a child was going through the Padawan ranks and he kind of fell out of the graces somehow. But it seemed like there was some sort of substance and relationship there that we haven't been able to touch on just yet. The whole Osha Keimer kind of taking now Osha under his wing was, or not under his wing. We don't know what's going to happen, but it was a great opportunity for him to just take her out, if that was his MO. But clearly it wasn't. And I wish I could find the quote that he said, Eric, because it was very poetic, like a very philosophical, and something that I'm sure will open up the door to whatever their relationship being. But kind of, I left it as, it's almost like Vader saying, if you won't turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will, referring to Luke not wanting to come, but maybe he can convince Leia to do it. Maybe this is something similar where Keimer needs an acolyte, a Sith acolyte. And if May is going to switch or do whatever she wants, go rogue, I mean, clearly she pissed him off and tried to kind of throw him under the bus. Maybe Osha can be my acolyte. She has the blood of Mother Anastasia, so maybe she has the gifts as well. I wish these two episodes had been done together, though. I am sick, and we've talked about this before, about the short episodes and the inconsistency in the run times and stuff like that. It's like episode 4 was 27 minutes. If this was 28 minutes, I'd be shocked. It was anywhere between 26 and 28. You totally could have had a 1-hour episode, and the fans would have eaten it up. And I'm with you. I'm going to go back and rewatch the two together because it is one right after the other. It's a great episode. I was mildly disappointed when the mask came off and it was Keimer, because I was really hoping that I really wish I'm glad we didn't bet on it. Because clearly I'm just an awful gambler. But I was really, really hoping it was going to be a woman or a female Sith. I don't know why. I want there to be a strong female antagonist Sith master. Like, I think that would just be so badass, and we have yet to see it. But Keimer, it was not too much of a surprise, especially after we talked about it last week. I was like, oh yeah, that's actually very obvious. And Chris, even you were like, oh yeah, totally called that in the chat. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it seems kind of very obvious. So, but yeah, overall fun episode. I maintain my rating. I'm cautiously giving it a 4 disco ball because we do have 3 episodes to screw this all up. So, but I'm cautiously giving 4 episodes. Eric, how many disco balls are you giving this episode?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that at 4.
Keep it at 4. All right. And Chris, Nitro, what's going on? You going up to 4?
The episode or the series?
The series. Let's do the series.
I'm sticking with 3.
Okay. All right. So
I reserve judgment.
Okay.
It ain't over till someone sings.
Okay.
Wait, I was doing it for the episode. Series to me is around 3.5.
Okay, 3.5. All right. I'm doing 4 for the series. So I guess our average then is 3.5, 3.25. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So what did you think of Acolyte episode 5, Night? Let us know, mailbag@geekyagogo.com. We'll share your comments and feedback on the next show, or just leave us a comment on one of our many posts that we put on Facebook. If you're not following us, check out facebook.com/geekyagogo. Nitro, I'm going to hand it back to you to take us back to What You Watchin'.
What You Watchin', okay. I mean, this whole episode's What You Watchin'. Well, we're doing our traditional What You Watchin'. I'll start. Okay. So the show that I'm picking is not a new show. It started back in 2022, but season 2 just started airing back in May. It is on Netflix. The show is called, in America, Maestro in Blue. I think the official title of the show in its native language is Maestro. It is a Greek drama. I'll preface it with this. I enjoyed it immensely because I understand Greek. I recommend it to everyone though because it has all the traditional Greek drama tropes and things like that in a more modern day setting. Familial drama and professional dramas and interrelationships and romance and this and that and the other thing. So like I said, I enjoyed it a lot. I thought season 1 was good, and then I watched season 2, and I was like, "Oh, this continues to be good. It's a good show." It's easier for me to understand. The subtitles aren't perfectly translated, but they do a really good job. So if you're a fan of foreign films, TV shows, whatever, you don't mind watching things with subtitles. Or anything to that effect. Or if you speak Greek, listeners, I do recommend watching Maestro in Blue. Just really cool show. A lot of cliffhanger type of things, like drugs is involved and crime and it all takes on this picturesque scenic island in Greece where the community is very small. Everyone knows each other, but all these dark things are going behind the scenes, and like I said, family struggles and whatnot, and coming of age, and little bit of inappropriate behavior and whatnot. So, like I said, I recommend it. I don't want to give it away too much because there's a lot of cliffhanger surprise things that are happening, especially at the end of season 2 and season 1. kind of like, hey, I want to watch the next season. I want to watch the next season just to see how this progresses. So yeah, that's my.
So does it like follow like a family, in Greece, and their kind of their drama, or is it multiple storylines and families and different characters?
It's centered on a specific family. However, there's romances involved, so it involves other families because of the romances, other people. Someone comes to visit the island, and is basically a music teacher or like a musician that is helping the island set up a music festival that they do every year. And so you have this inappropriate, like, older person. It gets romantically involved with this young woman, and the young woman is the daughter of the guy who ends up being the mayor. And yeah, like I tell you, it's like all the stereotypical dramatic things that happen in Greek dramas. So yeah, it's like I said, it's a very small, close-knit community, but then all these like dark things are happening in the background. There's murders and like I check everything. Yeah, all the boxes get checked in this show. So like, it's everything combined in one.
It almost sounds like a Greek Music Man. The young girl isn't a librarian, is she? Is that too much of a deep theater geek joke? I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Clearly it is. Well, Chris, I'd really like to watch it, but it sounds like it'd be all Greek to me. So. Oh, hey-oh. There we go. Did I redeem myself? No, I didn't redeem myself.
Actually, you get a verbal deep boo.
It sounds very much like those telenovelas and Telemundo is what I'm hearing right now. So
yeah.
All right.
It is almost, what do they call them? Soap opera. Mm-hmm. But it's more dramatic. Like it's more I shouldn't say more dramatic. Like dramatic gopher. Like you don't have that like zoom in camera kind of situations. It's very well filmed. Cinematography, I should say, filmed. Direction, the acting is great, and like I said, it's a little bit easier for me to watch because I understand the language. Mm-hmm. But if you don't understand language, the subtitles do it justice. Nice. Don't watch it dubbed. I don't know how you guys feel, but I never watch anything dubbed. Dubbed is terrible.
Yeah. And where is it streaming?
Netflix.
Okay. Maestro in Blue is what it was called? Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool.
And I do give it 4 disco balls.
Oh, the Greek bias setting in. Okay.
That's a Greek bias right there.
It totally is.
No. It definitely, if you guys were to ever watch it, it definitely does. It's deserving of that.
All right.
Which, by the way, I don't do dubbed. However, there are times where I make exceptions. So, I was actually watching. You guys know Corridor Digital? It's a YouTube channel. It's like a bunch of folks who do visual artists. Like they do a lot of different kind of sub series, and one of it is they bring like visual artists to kind of talk about the visual effect they created, stunts people to come in and talk about the stunts they did. It's just fantastic. Then one of the latest episodes they just talked about was they reviewed what's that terrible movie with Jennifer Lopez that we talked about?
Atlas.
That I saw.
Atlas.
That terrible movie.
All of them?
Yeah. Well, so this one, they were talking about why everyone wanted to see Titanfall, like giant mecha, like in a movie, right? And so if you had said that this is a fan film, and that everyone would like just lose their crap. And then they said, and I thought this was hilarious, they said, maybe we should have watched this in Japanese. And then everything will be much better. And they played like a clip in Japanese, and I go, oh yes, everything in this movie just got 10x. It's like a giant mecha movie in Japanese that just happened to star Trevor Lopez. And, maybe there are times where the dub version of it could be much better. Just saying.
Would you count, saying that now, like, would you count Studio Ghibli films as being dubbed?
I don't watch them in English, though. I watch them in Japanese, so...
I've only watched them in English because, like, the American or the English-speaking cast is like heavy hitters. They're big name actors, and they act very well.
Would you consider animation to be dubbed? I wouldn't consider animation to be dubbed, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
like there's
you have a script.
it,
You're acting to the blah 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 of the face, Whereas like dubbed feels like there was an original language, and you're just forcing yourself on top of it.
so in digital or animation, it's easy to match the mouth movements, right? So when you're changing from one language to another, you can change that so like the mouth movements match what you're saying. But in traditional animation, kind of like what Studio Ghibli does, or like older animation, you're you're trying to, a good dubbing will try to match the mouth movements, but it's never perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I bring up that point.
I think I pay less attention for animations because it feels like they just, and there's requires like a lot of translation, that kind of, I suppose dubbing does too. I know in my head there's still a difference between the two. I guess I should check out some of the Studio Ghibli ones in English, which we can do a whole episode about that. There's a lot of really great Studio Ghibli films we can talk about.
Well, you know what? Kind of going back to what you were talking about, Eric, about me educating you on horror. I've never seen a Studio Ghibli, so you guys could get me to be a Ghibli fan. There we go.
There's just so many.
Cool. Okay. Let's go with Eric. Eric, what you watching?
I just want to go back and say, like, they are Studio Ghibli films that kind of make you like just bawl with, like, just cry. So
wow,
like,
really?
There are things that traumatized me as a child watching from Studio Ghibli that I'm like, I still like. There are movies from them that I only watched like twice in my entire life because there's enough, and so, but not in a bad way, more of such an impactful way. You're like, I can't do this again. So,
oh wow,
there are stuff we can line up for you. That's kind of insane.
Yeah,
yeah. So talking of families, I have been watching this other show called Mayor of Kingstown, which I don't know if anyone has heard. Stars Jeremy Renner in this fake town, Michigan called Kingstown. And the whole premise for this entire thing is it's a town of pretty much the economy is run around the prison. It's a prison system town. The town has a lot of prisons there. And Jeremy Renner's character's family is in, I guess they are more of like the folks that are greasing the wheel between the folks who are in the prison, with the prison guards, with the local politicians, with the various gang groups. And the way that he talks about it, he's there to keep the peace, right? So, trying to be that arbiter in the middle to try to help negotiate things so that order doesn't break down in the town, or there's a balance that's done there. And I've been just going at it for the last 2 seasons. The third season's happening right now. It's on Paramount Plus, and I've pretty much enjoyed it. What has been weird for me is that the producing company for it, I think, is MTV. And I'm like, I did not know MTV is still around. And then I also did not know MTV is producing content like this, which I thought was very interesting. I'm a big fan. Yeah. And the last thing I will say is the producer for it, the writer or producer, I guess, for this is Taylor Sheridan, who's been doing the Yellowstone stuff, who is now like everywhere. He's doing a bunch of whole shows now, which are all kind of grabbing big names and kind of taking on multiple seasons. It's feeling like he's almost like the new Dick Wolf of our generation. So, and he has a similar theme. It's like a lot of family. It's about your environment, your town, and then I don't know. It's interesting stuff. I kind of liked it. It's been kind of in the background for me. It's got one of the producer on it, an actor in it. It's got this actor called Hugh Dillon, who I'm also a big fan of from a lot of his other stuff. I think he was in Flashpoint, this Canadian show that I used to watch. And it's fantastic. It was really good seeing him kind of on and about in the show. So liked it, like in the background. 3 balls for me for that show.
Nice.
I do recommend watching it, and I do enjoy, kind of put it in the background as I kind of just catch up on things.
Hugh Dillon was also in Yellowstone as well as the sheriff. So I guess he and Tyler Sheridan, and you see these more and more these days. These producers or these creators kind of dragging their casts along with them into new projects, like Mike Flanagan and the Flanagan-verse on Netflix. He did the Haunting of Hill House and the Haunting of Blythe Manor and all that stuff, and it's like the same actors over and over again, which is really funny.
Kind of makes sense though, right? You want to work with people you like,
exactly.
And you want to work with people who knows how to react,
yep.
Right? And so, why create new things when it kind of works?
Anthony,
okay,
what you watching?
I am watching Eric on Netflix, and
You mean Eric?
Not Eric
here?
Ho. I'm not watching Eric on Squadcast. I'm watching, or on Geeky A Go-Go. I'm watching Eric on Netflix. The tagline is "The real monsters aren't under the bed." It's really interesting. It's new. It came out at the end of May this year. It's streaming on Netflix. The synopsis on IMDb says, Vincent, a grief-stricken father whose son goes missing, finds solace through his friendship with Eric, the monster that lives under Edgar's bed. That makes it sound much more tame than this really is. This is a very dark series with a lot of very heavy content and themes, especially if you're a father of a child. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch, who is just a UK treasure. I love Benedict Cumberbatch in everything. He is, I aspire to be the performer that he is. Gabby Hoffman, who was, she's been in lots of things. I think more recently she was in Transparent. That one where the father becomes transgender. She was great in that. And Dan Fogler, who's been in tons of things. Dan Fogler was in everything. He's in The Goldbergs is the one that's jumping out of mind, but he's in tons of movies as well. Anyway, pretty much Benedict Cumberbatch is the creator. He's this Jim Henson-esque creator of a puppet show on a New York public broadcasting type of show. It's called Good Day Sunshine. It's clearly an analog to Sesame Street. Anyway, Cumberbatch and his wife, Sarah, I think her name is, who's played by Gabby Hoffman. They have a very tumultuous relationship. They fight constantly, and their son Edgar, who is about 10 years old, witnesses their constant fighting and insulting each other, and the alcoholism, and he tries to cope as a 10-year-old in 1970s New York can. So he does that through his own art. Just like his father is an artist. And one day, as he's going off to school, Vincent, the father, Benedict Cumberbatch, says, "You just walk to school. It's only a few blocks away." And what happens is the kid goes missing. And, in 1970s New York City was not the nicest of places for many reasons. And so, the end of the episode, the first episode is Edgar goes missing. And as they're kind of going through the process of trying to find Edgar, the son, Vincent finds all these sketches that Edgar has done. And one of them is this big blue monster. And Vincent feels that if he brings this monster to life as in the form of a puppet for his show, that Edgar will see it and he'll know that his parents are looking for him, and he'll come back wherever he is. So it's almost like this. I'm not accepting that he's been kidnapped. I'm just accepting that maybe he's run away because of our family situation. Anyway, this is a show that I'm not necessarily going to spoil because it does go in several different directions. But I will say that it is. It's only 6 episodes, I think, maybe 7 episodes. They're 50 minutes, solid 50 minutes. Disney, learn something, for crying out loud. Consistent 50 minutes. But it's dark, it's uncomfortable, it's funny at times. And Benedict Cumberbatch does a great job of being a alcoholic, emotionally abusive person trying to cope with that and trying to get better, but constantly slipping up and failing, but also trying to be the superhero for his son. It's just one of those films, like, and again, I gravitate towards dad films sometimes because, my dad died when I was 16. And so, that screws up a person in general, especially when it comes to their forms of entertainment. And so you just kind of like see a lot of stuff. And so, in these types of films, really, it was really good. It ended on a strange note that I wasn't too satisfied with. And so for that reason, I'm going to give it 3.5 disco balls. But overall, a good watch if you're in the mood for like dark suspense, dark comedy, thriller, and just getting that kind of guttural, uncomfortable feeling when it comes to the loss of a child or the kidnapping of a child or a child going missing, and you can't do anything about it. So, yeah. Good watch. Check it out.
I watched the trailer. So was it like kind of fantastical throughout, or with like...
No, not at all. It's so pretty much Vincent begins seeing Eric, this creature that his son created, and it almost becomes kind of like Vincent's subconscious, and he starts talking to it in reality. And people think that he's just losing his mind and going crazy because he'll like start yelling at at Eric, but there's no one there, and people are like, "Are you okay, dude?" And but Eric to Vincent is as real as his son is. And what's interesting about Eric, and you can actually see it in the artwork of the poster. You have this kind of silhouette of Eric, and then Benedict Cumberbatch is in the center of it. It's almost as if like, and now we're going into a psychology class, but it's almost as if like 10-year-old Edgar created Eric as almost not a metaphor, but a visual representation of the monster that is his father. And when his father sees this, he wants to bring Eric to life and put him on the show and make him this confused monster character puppet that's been hiding because he wasn't sure what people would think of him. And so he's trying to bring himself to life as a good person through Edgar's creation of Eric. It's really, really interesting. You can go down a lot of interesting rabbit holes in terms of like thinking about the subtext of what's going on here. But at the end, it is a good watch. So yeah, 3.5 disco balls. Which is interesting because go.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, which is interesting because Rotten Tomatoes, I like to go check out what Rotten Tomatoes has to say. 70% on the tomato meter and a 50% audience score. So I guess a lot of people didn't agree with me in terms of the 3.5 disco balls. Sorry, go for it, Chris.
The sense that I got from the show, I watched it as well. I won't rain on your parade here, but the sense that I got from the show is that I think because of that really like tense feeling people got, it feels real, and a lot of people thought it was based on a true story, which happens to not be true because it was mid 80s New York, the famous disappearance of a child in the late 70s. It was fresh on everyone's mind. So it's that time frame that everybody's like, is this really based on this kid? But the creator of the show, I think she's Welsh or British or something to that effect. She came out and said like, no, this is based on multiple experience that I had back home. So it had nothing to do with New York other than the setting. And we all, know that the trope of, the kid on the side of the milk carton and stuff like that when we grew up in the 80s and the 70s and whatnot. So I think that's what people got. Like, no one enjoyed that feeling. I think Benedict did fantastic, like playing multiple characters and personas and the ego and all that stuff. I thought it was a great show, both as a dad and just a person who enjoys TV, so to speak. I thought it was fantastic.
So how many disco balls would you have given it, or did you give it?
I agree with you. 3.5.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Nice. Awesome.
Just yeah. Like, I think that part of the story was enough. Like, I don't think we needed the whole fight with the city and corruption and. Like, I don't think we needed any of that. I think, but it was integral part of it. But
Yeah,
I don't think we needed all of that together.
agreed.
Like,
Yeah,
we all knew that the 70s, 80s New York was not a cool place to be.
exactly. Awesome, man.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. You want to take us home?
Cool. I'll take us out. Do you want more Geeky A Go-Go? Well, make sure you're following us on all the socials at Geeky A Go-Go and share with us what you're watching. Want cool stuff? Want to connect with us on a higher level, like on our Discord channel? Head on over to patreon.com/geekyagogo and support the show. You'll get awesome swag and other perks. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're following the show on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. Thanks so much for listening. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.